It's a beautiful Wednesday morning, and today is a very, very special day because today marks exactly 1 month since I officially launched the Andrew Deitsch Podcast. And if I've said it once, I've said it 100 times. You guys have officially blown me away. Later today, I am uploading episode 21. So as of today, I will have uploaded 21 full-length episodes, 4 weekly updates, 1 bonus episode, and an introduction episode for a grand total of 27 pieces of audio content. That's a lot. 27 out of 30 days. Yeah. Pretty much I've been uploading an average of 1 per day. I added it all up, and it was actually about 47 hours of content. 47 hours of content. I can't even believe I did that. Like, I kind of can believe it because I put so much work into this project, but like, when you put down the actual number 47 hours, that seems like a lot. So, if you've taken the time to listen to all of them, you have literally listened to my podcast for almost 2 whole days of your life. That's bonkers, and I honestly don't think that there's anyone out there who's listened to every single one of the episodes all the way through, but if you're out there and you have listened to every single episode all the way through, I just want to say thank you for the love, because you rock, and I haven't even listened to all of them all the way through. But, I mean, I was there, so I kind of listened to them all the way through because I was there recording it, but as far as sitting down and listening to them all the way through, definitely haven't done it. But over the course of this month, my analytics are showing that I've had over 2,700 unique listeners, and I'm averaging about 700 unique people accessing my podcast feed per day. So if you add it all up since I launched per day, I've had about 17,000 times where people are accessing my feed. And that means that on average, if there are 2,700 listeners, each person has downloaded an average of about 6 episodes. So that's pretty insane. And the fact that almost 3,000 people cared enough to check out this show is it's pretty crazy. And I have to thank all the amazing guests that I've had so far. Adam, Ashlyn, Davis, Tyler, Trey, Parker, Dre, Elizabeth, Graham, Owen, Jamie, Matthew, Connor, Remy, Austin, Cece, Morgan, Luke, Cameron, Lindsay, Will, and Alex. You guys are the best. And I want to thank you guys for believing in me and being such good friends. Without you guys and your friends listening, I would have no show and no audience, really. And especially those of you who've recorded episodes with me even before episode 1 was released, and you trusted me enough to put something good out. Y'all are the real MVPs, because who knows if the podcast would have sucked. But enough with the cheesy award acceptance speech, Andrew. We have a long way to go before we get featured in the iTunes store, and we really, really, really need to get in there. That will be the main factor if this thing takes off. So I've got 4 more weeks to get into the new and noteworthy section. So if each of you listening can go rate the podcast in the iTunes store, that would really help my ratings go through the roof. I'm talking to you. If I have 2,700 listeners and I've only got 32 reviews in the iTunes store, that means that 2,668 of you are slacking hardcore. Every single episode, I've asked you to go rate the podcast, and what do? You sit on your butt and you don't rate it. I'm just messing with you guys, but seriously, I mean, I know we can get more ratings than that. 32 ratings out of 2,700 listeners. I know that some of you can take 5 minutes and go write me a review. It really, 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 really would help. Rate it 5 stars. Keep sharing with your friends. It takes like a couple minutes. Seriously, every single review counts, and I read all of them. So if you want to give me some feedback there, that's a great place to do that. Okay, I'm going to shut up now and answer a few questions and share a few of my favorite comments from the week. The first question has been asked by a lot of people, and that would be, is anything in your podcast scripted? And that is a very good question, as I'm literally reading this off of a script. the main bulk of the podcast itself has no script. I've never gone into a recording with one of my guests and like had a written thing prepared, and neither have they. Most of the time, I have a mental outline of the subjects that I want to bring up, but other than that, it's totally organic. That's the way I want to keep it. I don't want to have a script for the normal bulk of it. On a few of the podcasts, I have a notepad with me so I can write something down if I'm afraid I'm going to forget it. And I might have like a couple topics written on there already from the beginning. But other than that, there's no script. But the intro and outros, on the other hand, those are 100% scripted. Like, that includes what I'm saying right now. I've spent a good amount of time crafting exactly what I want to say, but if I screw up or I change it up a bit or I improvise, I'll just keep it in. I do them all in one take. Like I always say, I want to be as transparent as possible. So yes, I am literally reading what I'm saying right now, but I also am trying to make it sound as much like natural speech as I possibly can. It would kind of suck if I was like, so yes, I am literally reading what I am saying right now, but you know, I'm trying to read it like how I would actually say it because I actually wrote it. It's not like I'm reading someone else's words. But second question comes from a few people as well, and they are asking how much does it cost to be in the iTunes store? So that's a really good question because typically you have to pay to have your music in iTunes, but to have a podcast on iTunes, it actually doesn't cost anything, surprisingly. The only thing is they aren't the ones hosting the podcast on the platform. You have to have your own podcast hosting platform. If your music is on iTunes, it's being hosted on their servers and you're downloading it straight from Apple. But when you listen to a podcast from iTunes, it's directing you through to another URL where the podcast is being hosted on some other server somewhere else. So there are a million ways to host your podcast, but I personally use Squarespace. It's been super, super easy, and although their analytics are not the best, I can't complain about how stupid simple it's been to manage my episodes and upload them, and I would totally recommend that to anyone who's wanting to start a podcast. Okay, so now I'm going to share some of my favorite messages that I've gotten recently. My friend Kelsey said that her favorite line from the podcast was from episode 1. Excuse me, need to take a drink for a second. I'm going to leave you with a cliffhanger. Okay, the line was from episode 1 with Adam, Meal Prep Poppy, and we were talking about CrossFit, and Adam said, if you're Debbie from accounting, why are you snatching? Seriously, if you're Debbie from accounting, stay in your lane, Debbie. Stop doing complex movements. You're going to hurt yourself. Stop snatching, Debbie. Go back to the free weight section. No, I'm just kidding. If you guys want to do CrossFit, then do it. But, like, no need to do some, like, crazy complex movements that might hurt you. Just work out. Just work out normal. Don't hurt yourself. The next message was from my friend Nick. He messaged me and said, this podcast is letting me learn more about you rather than from Snapchat. And Nick and I met for the first time in person at Ultra Music Festival back in March. But we had been friends on Snapchat for a while, and Snapchat is super awesome. I love making stories on my Snapchat, but I am super glad to finally have a platform to, share much, much more than just 10-second clips. That's what I love about this podcast. My friend Sheen messaged me, and she said, I listen to your podcast with Morgan, and it's really making me spin my wheels about what I want to do with my life and my purpose. And that message was super inspiring. I'm really glad that the podcast is making people think and hopefully help them learn things about themselves that they, hadn't thought about before. That's what I really want to do. My friend Ryan said, I have a longer commute now with my new job, and the past 2 days haven't been that bad since listening to your podcast. Definitely digging it so far, man. Just hearing from real people is pretty cool. Keep it up. And those messages are exactly the kind of impact I'm trying to make, and to hear that it's actually happening is crazy, and it motivates me even harder to keep doing what I'm doing. Okay. Now I'm going to get into the upcoming episodes for the next few days. My recording schedule has been a little bit wacko, and I wanted to have more recorded before today, but life happened. Some of the recording times fell through, and we had to reschedule. which is fine. It's not a big deal. But as of right now, I only have 2 episodes in the tank, but I'm recording a third one tonight, so I'm going to talk about that in a second. Episode 21 is with the hilarious comedian Will Foskey. Will has been doing stand-up for a few years now, and he has directly worked with a ton of really talented and famous people, including DC Young Fly, who was on MTV's Wild 'N Out, Emmanuel and Philip Hudson, and a ton more. Like, combined, those 3 guys alone have 7 million followers on Instagram. So obviously Will is doing something right. And Will and I have a few mutual friends. He actually reached out to me to be on the podcast. And at first I was like a little bit hesitant to do the podcast. I'd never met him before, but I was thinking, okay, I'll give this guy a chance. If he's funny, I'll have him on. So I found a clip on YouTube from one of his stand-up comedy shows just to, see if he sucked. And he obviously did not suck. I was cracking up the whole time. Seriously, as soon as I ended that video, I messaged him back and told him I would love to have him on the podcast. And on this episode, Will and I talked about his upbringing and how it shaped him into being a comic, his intro into the world of comedy, and the racial segregation that still exists in like the comedy world, and some stories of him totally bombing on stage. And we talked about him hanging out with T.I., like the T.I. Got to hang out with him and go to his birthday party. It's crazy. But needless to say, this is one of the funniest podcasts I've done so far, and it was really fun getting to know Will. That episode will be released today, so be on the lookout. Don't sleep. Episode 22 is with my good friend Alex Guthrie. Alex is a super talented musician and photographer. You may recognize him from the nationally aired ad campaign he recently did with Jennifer Hudson for American Family Insurance. I keep seeing him everywhere on billboards, hearing his commercial on TV and on the radio, and it's actually pretty crazy that he's everywhere. Like, every time I see it, I freak out a little bit, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm friends with this dude. That's my friend Alex. Hey, guys, that's my friend Alex. And I met Alex about 5 years ago through some mutual friends around the time when he was first auditioning for American Idol. And he basically dropped out of college to go compete in the 3rd round before he got turned down by one judge who convinced another judge to give him a no too, which is really annoying. But needless to say, Alex did not stop, and his future is super, super bright. His album, Lessons Learned, is available on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever else you listen to music. And he has new music coming very, very soon. So definitely subscribe to his social media channel. I don't know. But follow him so you can know when his new music is coming out. But in this episode, we talked about how he got into music, his experience with American Idol, dealing with depression, going on tour, how he got the commercial with Jennifer Hudson, and how it was a total surprise, getting together his band and how they record in the studio, and much, much more. And this was one of my favorite episodes so far. And don't forget to go listen to Alex's music. You definitely won't regret it. I'm going to be releasing that episode tomorrow, so keep it locked right here for all of that. All right. Episode 23, I'm actually recording later tonight with my friend Heidi Uzelac. I think that's how you say her last name. She's going to have to correct me. But Heidi is an actress. And like I said, I'm a little bit behind where I wanted to be, so this podcast is delayed. But I wanted to include it in this weekly update since I will be releasing it soon. Also, it wasn't her fault that I am behind schedule. Another podcast fell through, not her. I know that might have sounded like she was the reason why I'm behind, but actually we had scheduled this for today. So since we haven't done this podcast yet, I can't guarantee what we're going to be talking about, but I assume that we will talk about how she got into acting, what it's like dealing with Hollywood and that whole world, her daily routine and how she stays focused, meditation, her favorite books, and whatever else we end up talking about. But I'm super excited for tonight, and I'm going to post that episode soon. All right, that's all I got. I'm going to go. Make sure you rate the podcast 5 stars. Seriously, go do it. It really, 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 really helps. and download all the episodes. We only have 4 weeks to get into the new and noteworthy section. So let's do this, people. Please, please, please help me out. I know we can do it. If you want to find me on social media, go to my website, andrewdeitsch.com. That's Andrew, DEITSCH.com. And you can find the links to all my social media accounts and all that. But that's pretty much it. I love you guys. Here's to 100 more episodes and continued success. I cannot wait to see where this thing goes. And I'm so excited to take you guys along with me on this journey. I'll see you soon. Episode 21 with Will Foskey's up next. So go listen to that. See you later, everybody.